Hi guys, Spartan765 here today. Today I'm doing a video review. It's been the first one in a while. I just haven't had time with work. But anyway, yeah, again, still on the cell phone. Sorry, I don't really want to invest $1,000 in a camera. But anyway, what we're going to do a review on today, it's going to be a joint review. Two products that we're going to primarily be covering. That's going to be the Glock 40 MOS and the Trijicon RMR dual illuminated. The reason I'm doing these both in the same review is because it doesn't really pay to do a separate review when the RMR is attached to the Glock 40, okay? Alright, but anyway, here we go. This is the Glock 40, right here. This is a 10mm long slide, 6-inch barrel. This gun has been out now for, I want to say, a couple years, 2-3 years, somewhere around there. I get discount pricing on Glock, so I got this one for $517 out the door. These are regularly going to be about $650 to $700, depending on where you see them. They might even be as low as $600. It all just varies on your FFL and, you know, if they buy in bulk or not. 15 round capacity plus 1 in the chamber. Comes with 3 mags, and that's it. You get the standard crappy Glock sights that are on there. And these sights that are on here, especially for a long slide gun like this, just don't do it justice. I mean, it's pretty much implied that you need to update those sights or at least put some type of an optic on here. That's why I bought this. I wanted a pistol I could put an optic on, and I mean, I own 35, 40 pistols, no more than that. Somewhere in that range of pistols. And I have never put an optic on one. I've just never been attracted to handgun optics. But I'm like, oh, what the hell? I'll give it a try. So it's new to me. And I turned out today, I took it to the range, put 100 rounds through it. It shot pretty well after I got used to the optic. I mean, it definitely is something different if you're not used to it. And it is something you're definitely going to have to train with. I mean, I definitely have to get out there and put 1,000 rounds down range before I feel pretty proficient with this. Another big thing is in order for this to, for you to be able to, you know, get the gun up and get the little triangle in your sight, you're going to want to get some suppressor height night sights so you can get a good co-witness on there, lower third co-witness. I ordered some Trijicon suppressor height night sights. I will do a review on the gun when I get those. Those are going to be coming in a few days. But I did notice at the range, I mean, when I did it from bench rest shooting at 25 meters, I was doing about 1 inch, 5-shot groups. Some of the groups are a little heavier than 1 inch, about 1.5 inches. I think I had 1 2-inch group, but that was all my fault. That was just crappy trigger discipline as far as your trigger press goes. And, you know, the trigger on this does seem a little lighter than a stock Glock trigger, but it's still, I mean, as far as, you know, for longer distance shooting, you're going to want to do a trigger job on this. Get this thing down to about 3 pounds. Shorten it up a little bit and shorten the reset. That can all be done with the stock trigger. You don't need to buy special parts for that. But if you don't want to do that or don't know how, you can just purchase a lighter trigger. But yeah, once the trigger gets down on this, it'll be a great shooter. One thing that was a little awkward for me at first, especially because I had no co-witnessing sights on here, was when you draw the weapon and you know, pull to fire immediately, you're kind of sitting here doing one of these numbers to get the to find the triangle, and that's to be expected if you have no co-witness, because you got to realize you're looking through a very small square, or you know, square half moon, whatever you want to call that, viewport. You know, when you draw, and it's something you really got to get used to. So I need a lot more practice. I'm really hoping to get those groups down under 1 inch at 25 for sure. Definitely capable of doing it. I'd really like to see this thing do about 6 inches at 100. I haven't taken it to 100. My range only goes to 25, the one I went to today. But the RMR, we're going to step a little bit into the RMR now. You are paying, you know, 600 something bucks for this handgun normally, unless you're getting a discount, and you're going to pay about 500 for the RMR. This particular RMR is a dual illuminated tritium filled vial in here for no light operation or low light, and then it's got a fiber optic hood on the top which works during the day. Now the only problem with this that I've noticed is if you're going from a dark room into a bright room, vice versa, there's no problem. So you're going from a bright room into a dark room, you have no problem. It's just going from a heavily lit area to a lowly lit area to a bright area, which in most tactical situations, you know, you're always usually, generally speaking, not all the time, but most times you're going either from the outside into a house, not usually from the house outside. As far as, you know, like if you're a cop and you're, you know, executing a warrant or something like that. But if you're a cop, you're not going to have an RMR on your gun. I mean, they do have their drawbacks. I mean, but then again, so does a regular red dot. I mean, if you have a regular red dot and you have like a 10 setting and you have it set on, let's say, setting 2 in your low light situation, and then you go outside, you're going to have to stop and you're going to have to manually adjust that until when you get outside. But the nice thing about this is once you actually get into the sunlight or just even a little bit of ambient light like this thing lights up. So that's the plus. No batteries, obviously. And this is about $500. I think I paid $491 shipped for this. Again, I found this at a pretty decent price. But you're going to see these things all the way up to $600. So right as it sits, you're looking at about a $1,200 gun. You know, $1,300, $1,400 after you get the night sights on there, and then plus the trigger job. It can get expensive very quick. But it's definitely something, you know, fun to do. I mean, you can use it for hunting as a sidearm for hunting. You know, if you got to take a deer from close up or even at, you know, up to 25 meters, it works perfectly fine. If you don't want to shoot your 300 Win Mag off, you know, at 25 meters. And it definitely draws attention at the range. I had a few people looking, you know, because not a lot of people are used to seeing something like this. Now, there are other optics you can get as far as these short dot or these little micro dots. You know, there's a Vortex. There's Vortex is one of the next best ones. That's about $219. There's Trijicon battery illuminated ones. I like the dual illuminated 12.5 MOA green triangle, so then I can get a precise point. They also do make a amber dot and a green dot. The red dot, I think, is available if you get the battery option. Vortex, like I said, Bushnell makes them. But if you got a 10 millimeter like this, from the reviews I've read and the research I've done, is the only one that really seems to be able to stand up to the recoil is the Trijicon. So, I mean, you kind of have to buy the best of the best right off the bat. You know, if that's something you're willing to do. The downside of this is, in order to get the Glock comes with adapter plates, but you also have to buy a special little adapter plate from Trijicon, which is about $14. It comes with a plate and screws in order for this to work on an MOS. I know it's retarded, but that's what you have to do. In the end, it's worth it. Anyway, the gun is very, very front heavy, as you could imagine. But, you know, that can be expected when you have a 6-inch barrel. Once you have a loaded mag in it, it balances okay. But one thing I did notice is going from shooting this, you know, for 100 rounds, and then I went back to my Glock 22. And, you know, this gun is considerably heavier and fatter. When I went back to my Glock 22, at 10 meters, my groups were like this. I'm like, what the fuck? I was pissed. I didn't know, you know, and then I thought, okay, well, I was just holding a huge gun that's heavier, so I'm squeezing the gun too damn hard. Lightened up my grip, and my groups went back down to about like that at 10 meters with the Glock 22. So you definitely need to take that into consideration if you're going to be shooting this all day. I would advise, if you're going to the range with a few different handguns, shoot your smaller handguns first. You shoot this thing first, you're gonna be overcompensating, you know, just because of the weight. As far as the recoil goes, I mean, I've shot 10 millimeters before, and it is really not that bad at all. Because you got this big 6-inch barrel on here, it's front heavy, very manageable. I even shot a couple of high power 1300 FPS defense loads, and it was perfectly manageable. It didn't bite me too much in the wrist. My wrist didn't get sore, no issues whatsoever. Time on target is pretty good too. Obviously, you got a really reduced muzzle flip. This is going to sound really stupid, but when I was bench press shooting it, I just kind of had to ghetto rig it the best I could because, you know, I didn't have a pistol vise. So I'm sitting there like this trying to, you know, because I can't lean back because there's people behind me. So I literally just sat there like this in the bench rest and literally had the slide to the point where it would come back and it'd be about, you know, that close to my face. I could, you know, there are a couple times where I could feel the slide just kiss my cheek. You know, and that seemed to work to get it zeroed in. I mean, I just had to do a little bit of windage adjustment, and she got zeroed right in. No elevation adjustment. There's your windage and your elevation screws right there. Like I said, it's you know, definitely not going to be your first handgun. I would not recommend this as your first handgun, but you know, if you got a few guns and you want a 10mm, I think the Glock 40, as far as the 10mm, is your best option. I mean, yeah, you got the SIG 220 Elite, you know, but that's a single stack. I'm going to get shit on for that. The 220 is a great gun. It's just, you're paying way too much for a single stack. When you get a double stack that's got a longer barrel, you're going to get better velocity, better ballistics. But anyway, that's my opinion on this weapon. Got any comments, questions, send me a message. Spartan765 out.